Weekend UpNate. The Weekend UpNate. Your weekly recap of news, current events, and trending stories. Let's do this. The Weekend UpNate with your host, Nate Armbruster.
Hello and welcome to episode 55 of Weekend UpNate. How's everybody doing? I hope you had a great weekend. I sure did. One of the best weekends I've had in a long time. I was up in Traverse City, Michigan for the first annual Traverse City Comedy Festival, and there were about 57 comedians from all over the country, mostly from Michigan though, but it was so much fun. We had a blast. One of the best weekends I've had in a while, so I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. If you guys are ever interested in going to an event like this, which I would highly recommend it, you can go to a bunch of shows. Every show was sold out, from Maria Bamford and Tom Papa to every show I was on or whatever. There were open mics, there were themed shows that were great. It was awesome. So I highly recommend it. Make sure you check that out. They'll be doing it again next year, first weekend of February. So I'll see you up there. Oh, and also, big thanks to anyone who listened to my album that came out last Friday. If you haven't yet, click the link in the show description, and that'll take you right where you need to go to listen to it. It made it to number one on iTunes, so that's kind of exciting. It was the number one comedy album for at least 24 hours, number one on iTunes, okay? Like, I'm not going to pretend like it was literally you know what? Fuck it. I'll pretend that it was. A lot of people listened, and it made me feel really cool. And, doing that, I was trying to figure out the best time to release it. And, you can do it whenever you want, really. So I chose to do it during the comedy festival, and it turned out to be a great time to do it because I happened to be hanging out with like 50 other comedians, and all of them were helpful in promoting it and talking about it, and it was just good. Yeah, comedy festivals are like summer camp for comedians. You kind of just show up in a town and take over, and you're like a local celebrity for the weekend, Oh, if you're a comedian, you're welcome pretty much anywhere. So it was a lot of fun. However, today's Sunday, the weekend is over, and on my way out of town, I was like, you know what, I'm going to stop and get Chipotle. I figured this would be a good choice, right? Nice run-of-the-mill burrito bowl, simple, you can't mess that up. Well, you can, especially if you're me, all right? Like, this happened just in time for the podcast, too. This happened a half hour ago, and it's so fresh in my mind, and it's so upsetting. This is no one else's fault but my own. I don't know if you've ever done this, but my home Chipotle on the app, right, is in Chicago, and you may know where this is going, but there's a little bit of a buildup, okay? I walked into this Chipotle in Michigan, and it's like a newer one that's only been open for a little bit, and I don't like to get all boomery about customer service and nobody wants to work anymore, like all that. I don't like to get involved with those types of conversations because I think it's a little more nuanced than we like to admit. But I showed up at this place, a line out the door, and everybody working there looks miserable, understandably. I get it. I've been there. I've done that job. Well, a similar job. I've been in that position. And it's a Sunday, like, we're all, and everything, nobody's like mad or anything. There's nothing bad going on, but it's just the most depressing feeling. Like, I'm standing in line like, man, we're all sad right now, aren't we? Like, everybody working here is sad. They don't want to work. They don't want to be here on a Sunday. They don't want to be making burrito bowls for people, and the line itself is so long and nobody's complaining, which was encouraging. I was like, well, at least nobody's like losing their shit over this because we understand, or you try to at least. Like, look, do what you got to do back there. You might be short-staffed, or maybe they're all new, or maybe you're just dumb. That's also a possibility. But I have no idea what the actual factor of that was, but I will tell you how dumb I was, okay? I'm in line, and it is taking forever. It's like I'm maybe standing there for 5-10 minutes. Nobody has been served, and nobody left the line either. We're all waiting. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I see people working over at the carryout station, right? I'm going to order on the app while I'm in line waiting to order. I pull up the app, and I place my order on the app. It says it'll be ready in 10 minutes. Hot damn, right? So I get out of line. Everybody's like, where the hell are you going? And I was like, look, guys, hot tip, okay? Order it on the app, when you're waiting this long. I'll be over in the corner, and in my head, I'm like, haha, these guys are going to think I'm brilliant. They're all waiting here for 20 minutes, and I walk in, I just order it right there, and I'm like, I bet you it'll be done before any of these people get their food. And I'm sitting there, all high and mighty, back straight up, perfect posture, like, look at me, I'm brilliant. I feel so smart. And I'm sitting there, and then a few people get served finally. The people are moving out, and I'm like, okay, there's a couple more. But the space I was in line at hadn't been waited on yet. So I'm like, okay, as long as I get out of here before that lady, because that's the lady that was behind me, as long as I get out of here before her, then this would have been worth it. And, also my little brag would have been worth it. You know what I mean? Like, I did kind of rub it in a tiny bit, because you got to explain to somebody why you're sitting in the corner, like, you just get out of line and sit in the corner. And I'm like, oh no, I ordered on the app, So I'm sitting there for 20 minutes. Okay. And it's getting close to that lady. And finally I realize I ordered from the Chipotle near my apartment in Chicago. So when it says it's ready and I'm looking over at the wall, I'm like, I don't see my order. I realize I ordered from a Chipotle 300 miles away. Now, I'm furious, as you can imagine, at myself, because this is clearly my fault. So I placed the other order. I ordered from the right place, and I wait another 10 minutes, and I watch everyone behind me in line walk by me with their food. And you want to know the worst part about all this? Okay, luckily, I told my fiance, I'm like, hey, surprise dinner for you, okay? Go walk over to Chipotle, and you got dinner on me, all right? You can enjoy that. I'm a moron. I couldn't even cancel it. Nobody answered the phone. That's the thing, is you can't just call a store anymore. People won't answer it. And they're sure as hell not going to refund you over the phone. They're going to be like, you moron. So now I'm in a customer service situation with a computer, with AI, trying to convince them to refund me my money. I'll be like, dude, I was 200 miles away. Okay? I know this was my fault, but can I get my money back? So if there's one thing you can take away from this episode, it's that make sure you update your local restaurant settings, okay, on whatever app you're using. Also, this isn't the first time I've done this, okay? We went to make reservations for a restaurant. It's not even like a fancy restaurant. It was just like a Friday night, and I'm like, you know what? We better just hold a table just so we can, you got a spot when you get there. This would be trying to be responsible and forward-thinking. So I make the reservation online, and I'm positive, because how many restaurants are called, whatever. And so I made the reservation online, and luckily, just before we're ready to leave, I happened to look at the reservation, and I realized I made the reservation for a restaurant in Florida. And I did call them, and they were like, oh, actually, this happens all the time. So I didn't feel so bad. Anyway, as you saw, I'm sure you saw the weather balloon. It was a weather balloon? What the hell was it? The Chinese balloon that people discovered floating over the country, which I know nothing about. I can't believe that any country still using balloons, any industrialized country still uses balloons to spy. Like, if you're going to spy, I'm assuming that's what it was used for, right? That's got to be, like, it can't be a good reason for it. I feel like we would know about it if it wasn't a threat, I guess, But balloons? And it was huge. How'd you expect people not to notice that? I don't know. I have no real opinions on this story. I think it's nuts. It's interesting. We're definitely living in strange times, but I can say I thought of a bunch of puns related to this story, okay? Because, as tensions between the U.S. and China, things are about to pop off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's pun number one. Okay. Pun number two is I was really deflated to hear this news the other day, and I just figured I'd float these by you guys and see what you thought. But hopefully you're still listening after these. But that's that's the strangest thing, though, right? I mean, it's really bizarre. How would you like to be the guy? And they actually shot it down. The U.S. military did, and you can see footage of this on TikTok, which is hilarious to me. But I just thought, man, could you imagine going in the military, right? You're flying an F-22 or whatever, a pretty badass job, right? That's a pretty nuts career. And if you're lucky, you won't ever really deal with anything crazy like a war. You won't have to I mean, you don't have to kill anybody or shoot but also it's like kind of like, well, that's what I'm trained to do. So it's like this weird thing where it's like, wow, this is my job, but only if we need to use it, right? But imagine being the guy flying that plane. It's like, man, I went through all this training. I learned all this stuff. I learned how to fly this ridiculously amazing piece of machinery, this airplane, and his first mission, I mean, it probably wasn't his first, but the fact that you're on a mission to go pop a balloon has got to be a little bit, silly, right? And the thing is, you know how the military works. It's like it's pretty high tech and what am I trying to say? Not discreet, but classified. There's certain things that we don't even know about that we'll probably never know about. There's like the way everything really works. The stuff that doesn't make it, to the news, the stuff happening behind the scenes. They had like a really serious name for the mission too, because you gotta. This just made me feel like, do you remember when you were a kid and you let go of your balloon and it just like disappeared into the sky? That's got to be what the Chinese government's feeling like right now. And then you just see it pop. It just floats up into some electrical wires, and your whole childhood is ruined for at least the rest of the week. That was a horrible experience, wasn't it? On some level, though, it seems like if this is China's best, maybe it was done intentionally. I don't know, but if this is their best, if this is all they got when it comes to spying, I think we're gonna be okay. Also, I try to not be hypocritical in situations. It's like, okay, sure, I'm a U.S. citizen. It's like, I don't want any country really, messing with stuff over here. But it's also like, well, we do that literally everywhere we are. So it's like, tit for tat, I guess. At least we're not using balloons anymore. All right, on to something a little more fun, a little less intense, I guess. I don't know. So I'm from Michigan, and the fact that this happened in Michigan is, I guess it doesn't matter. But I thought it was kind of cool. This is why I noticed it. But this guy, you may have heard about this guy, says his kid, who was 6 years old, ordered $1,000 in food from Grubhub. And this is a big dilemma for parents, right? How much screen time should they get? When can they get a cell phone? If I'm going to let them use mine, maybe I should put some sort of like password protection on at least the stuff that should be kept private, credit cards, things like that. And then this never would have happened. However, they always figure out a way. This never would have happened to anybody our parents' age or my parents' age. You know what I mean? Like, this was not a concern for parents back in the day. But now, if you needed any reason to not have a child, this is a pretty good one, because a 6-year-old can order $1,000 of food on Grubhub. And the fact that this is something you have to explain to your child, this stuff costs money, right? Like, I know you don't know what credit is, but you can't use it. It's not free like that. This guy, okay, a Michigan man, says he was left with $1,000 bill after his 6-year-old son ordered a virtual smorgasbord of food from several restaurants last weekend, leading to a string of unexpected deliveries. This is the best part. The dad didn't even know this happened. Somebody just shows up with some food at the door and you're kind of like, okay, I guess, whatever. And then, maybe another half hour goes by and you get another ring at the door and show up and it's, oh, more food. Okay. All right. And then this just keeps happening for hours and hours. Okay. Keystone House said the food piled up quickly at his Detroit area home Saturday night after he let his son, Mason, use his cell phone to play a game before bed. He said he instead used his father's Grubhub account to order food from one restaurant after another. This would have been a great way to get back at your parents back in the day, right? Remember when you were a kid and you're having maybe you're just being a brat, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to take your phone and I'm going to order so much food that you won't even be able to dispute the charges. So the boy's mother told the Associated Press on Thursday that Grubhub had reached out to the family and offered them a $1,000 gift card, which is a stupid, I get it. It's like, listen, here, we'll basically give you $1,000 store credit in return. We're keeping your money, though. Why would we refund you? And honestly, that's probably right. If you can't keep your kid from ordering Grubhub, you don't deserve that money. I would keep it. Like, if this kid walked in with his dad's credit card, walked up to me after a show and said, sir, can I buy $1,000 worth of your CDs? I'd probably take it. And I would give him store credit to the Nate Armbruster virtual comedy store, which doesn't even exist. But Keith, the dad, was alone with his son while his wife was at the movies when Mason ordered, get this, jumbo shrimp, salads, shawarma, and chicken pita sandwiches, chili cheese fries, and other foods that one Grubhub driver after another delivered to their home. It was like something out of a Saturday Night Live sketch. Okay. Is it though? Is that something you can compare it to? I don't know. So the dad's, he's quoted in this article. He says, "I don't really find it funny yet, but I can laugh with people a little bit. It's a lot of money." And that kind of came out of nowhere. I'd be so pissed, man, to be honest with you. This is why. He said his son ordered food from so many different places that his Chase Bank sent him a fraud alert declining $439, declining a $439 order from Happy's Pizza. $439. How do you rack that up? Like, how do you actually? How many pizzas is that? If it was $20 a pizza, maybe 25. I don't know. I guess if you put every topping on it, it can add up. And then he ordered $183 worth of jumbo shrimp from the same restaurant, and which actually went through. And okay, at least he ordered something you'll eat, right? Like, well, I hope his dad is at least he'll eat shellfish, Like, I mean, pizza, $400 in pizza. It's like, okay, we're going to eat all this and the next week? Probably not. It's probably going to go bad. That's a waste. But hey, if we got a huge order of jumbo shrimp coming over, I mean, might as well invite everybody by. You know what I understand about the way Grubhub handled this? This is brilliant marketing for them. I would almost believe it if they did this intentionally just to make it go viral. But the fact that they just got away with just giving them $1,000 in store credit is amazing to me. Because, I mean, you can't really buy this type of press. I mean, you're getting this story's on the Weekend UpNate podcast. Okay, this is a huge deal for Grubhub. But the parents in the story admit that he had ordered food earlier that day and he left the app open. So there you go. It was now you're just admitting fault. You can't even pretend like it wasn't your fault. So keep this in mind if you guys have kids, or if you're gonna have kids, they're gonna spend all of your money in one way or another, right? I mean, how mad can you really get at the kid? I mean, okay, you wasted $1,000 of mine the kid's probably also wasting like 18 years of his dad's life, And look, maybe that's a bit harsh. Maybe I'm being a little mean to the poor guy, okay, and the kid. It's because it is a funny story. But after my experience at Chipotle, I wasted an extra $30 today because I ordered from a Chipotle about 400 miles away from me. So who am I to talk? You know what I mean? All right. Last story for this week. It finally happened, folks. It finally happened. Firefighters had to put out a fire at their own fire station. And this was in Georgia. The smoke was coming from inside the fire station. Firefighters in suburban Atlanta returned from a call on Sunday to find their own breakfast in flames. Oh, what a morning. I wonder, because I've always wondered this, firefighter, that's a noble career. You got to really want to help people and potentially enter a building that's completely engulfed in flames. I couldn't even imagine. That'd be terrifying, right? And very hardworking people. Also, I hear they're amazing cooks. But when your local fire department starts a fire in their own fire station, that's got to make you a little nervous, right? Like, how do you leave the stove on? Isn't that what you tell people as the firefighter? Make sure you shut this shit off. Oh, so getting back to what I was saying about firefighters, at least where I'm from, typical suburb, whatever, not too many fires happen, right? I mean, they're doing a lot of house calls, maybe helping somebody up off the floor. I feel like that's like the more common call for a firefighter. So maybe they just weren't expecting it, caught off guard, I guess. I just love the idea of returning from a call, right? And, hopefully it was like the worst fire of the year too. I guess we're only a few weeks into the year, so I guess it's the one that they had to put out their own fire station could have been the worst one. But imagine coming back from a call, right? Putting out the biggest fire in town, your heroes, and you come back to see your own building on fire. I feel like your first instinct would be to call 911. Like, one of them was like, one of them like reached for their phone and they were like, "What the hell are you doing? We are 911. We put this shit out, Anyway, of course, nobody was hurt and they put it out in like 2 seconds because they're awesome. That's just funny to me. I always wondered that, man. How ironic would that be? That's like a tow truck towing a tow truck, okay? A fire station burning down? That's nuts. All right, that's going to do it for this week. If you enjoy the show, please hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And if you like my sense of humor, you like my jokes, you can follow me online at Nate Comedy. And also give my debut comedy album a listen. It's available everywhere, wherever you stream music. And, let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. Go to weekendupnate.com or send me an email, and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode.
You've been listening to the Weekend UpNate with Nate Armbruster, and you liked it, didn't you? If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Weekend UpNate.
Bye-bye.